Free agency is slowing down and rosters are coming together. We'll break it all down. And March Madness. Get ready. It starts this week. The Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital Live starts right now.
Let's go! It's time for the talk to you. Cause when it comes to sport, it's always coming through. And Boy Green is always on the scene. And we're gonna always bring it to you live streaming. So get ready, Get ready, cause here they come.
All right, my friends, welcome aboard. Happy Monday. Did I catch a little Bill shout in there, Boy Green? Little miscue there in live
Yeah, that was weird.
podcasting world, live digital world. Yeah, okay. Things happen, Buttons can get pushed wrongly, so it was kind of fun. I was like, oh, there was a taste of the Buffalo Bills in that open. All right, welcome aboard, everybody. Happy Monday, Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. At MC Show Digital is our handle. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. Be part of our growing family of subscribers. We're up to I looked yesterday, about 730 subscribers. So we're on the march to 1,000 right now, which gives us full monetization capabilities on YouTube. And of course, it just continues to grow our brand and makes it available to more people so that we can grow as a channel. And that'll give us more resources to do really cool things. So just to take all that with a grain of salt. But if you aren't already a subscriber, we'd love for you to become one. And if you are a subscriber, memberships, as you see it in the scrolling ticker below, are available starting at just $4.99 per month. You get to support the channel and you get some really cool perks. You can check it all out at MC Show Digital. Make sure that, again, you are at the MC Show Digital YouTube page in order to both click on the subscribe button and to join the membership. If you're viewing from somewhere else like Boy Green's channel, you will not be joining our channel if you click join on his channel. You have to come over here if you want to join our channel. So, and you're welcome to join his channel, of course, as well. Boy Green, good morning. Happy Monday to you. What's up, buddy?
Lurch, there's breaking news we have to immediately get to here on the show. Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's go for it. Here we go. Do it.
Where is it? Where is our breaking news thing? Okay, here it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Okay, what's the breaking news? I think I have a feeling what it is. I just saw a ding on my phone. I'm like,
oh my God.
Okay.
The New York Jets are trading Justin Fields to the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh my goodness.
Trade, huh? It's a trade.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a trade.
It
is a trade. The Jets, the Jets are finalizing a trade pending a physical. Other teams were interested. Wow, the Jets had multiple teams interested in a Justin Fields trade. And I just want to. We're waiting for the details to come in on what the compensation is. This is coming through any second. People are saying it's a future sixth for Justin Fields at 2027 six. I'll get that officially here in a second.
Full confirmation on that, but thank you for that info, by the way. Who was that, Tommy? Thanks, Tommy.
Yes. So, oh my goodness. Wow. Hey, shout out to Jim CBW real quick, by the way. Shout out to shout out there to Jim CBW, who every time I brought up, Justin Fields could be traded, said, no one's trading for him. That would be stupid. No one's going to do it. So Jim CBW, suck it, buddy, wherever you are out there. Syracuse fan that chimes in on all our shows and said it wasn't possible. Not
possible. It happened.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. You got to read on that. Let's get your immediate reaction to that. Justin Fields shipped off to the Chiefs. You get something for Justin Fields. I mean, you didn't want him on your roster this year, did you, as a backup?
No,
I know it's scary to not have a backup, but he's not the backup you want, right?
Definitely not. He is not the backup I want. Again, it just shout out 100%. All hail King Muji for trading Justin Fields, this asset that clearly they had no interest in keeping, and to trade him for anything. And again, I see where people are commenting on what the trade was. I'll get it on Twitter in a second to get the full details. But Justin Fields, the Jets went all in to try to get him and to be the guy, and he just wasn't the guy. And the Jets have since replaced him. Obviously, Geno Smith was going to be the starter. and now they're able to move him. I am just sort of stunned they were able to move him because, like, there was just drama. He was crying in his closet. Woody Johnson called him out, and man, there was a lot of extra hoopla that was involved on this Justin Fields thing. The fact that the Jets traded out to acquire Justin Fields and got back, or traded Justin Fields out, got Geno Smith, it's just sort of crazy.
Yeah, that's wow. God, that's unbelievable. All right, well, like, stranger things have happened, right? Stranger things
Okay.
have happened.
So here it is.
Go ahead.
Apparently, according to
Okay, you
NFL,
got the deets? Okay, go ahead.
yeah, NFL insider Diana Rossini comp update. It's a 2027 6th-round pick heading back to the Jets. So there's no pick swap. It looks like it's just a straight-up pick to the Jets at this point. Sometimes insiders are wrong, I guess. But the Jets are receiving a 2027 6th-round pick in exchange for Justin Fields. Wow, stunning.
He's gotten a lot of opportunities, I'll tell you, for a guy that has, I guess he's had some success. We can't rule him a complete failure in the NFL, but
right.
He's so quirky. I don't know, like, it's like Tebowism all over again, if that's a term. It's like he's got skills and he's athletic. It's a different animal, the Tebow. I understand Justin Fields and Tim Tebow are not the same animal, but like it's just like it just doesn't seem like playing quarterback in the NFL is really what this guy should be doing. Like, I think he should be, either playing another position or doing something else. Like it just doesn't seem like it's meant to be. I mean, it's not like he's just had one or two chances. I mean, he's had several chances with some really good coaches. And while he has had some great games, while he has had some great moments, in the end, he's not what any NFL franchise really wants, which is a consistent starting quarterback. I guess he could survive for years as a backup. I mean, why not? I told you
he's going to start as a starter, though, with the Patrick Mahomes injury lurch. Like, he's going to be the starting quarterback.
Right. Theoretically, if Mahomes is not back in time, he would start. I think Mahomes is going to be back, but we'll see. Okay. That was a serious injury. They're not going to bring him back too early, but I think he's if there's a will, there's a way with Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's
sure,
and his body will determine it. But if it's anything beyond his body and it has to do with working hard, being in the right mental framework, he's gonna put in every ounce of it. He did his surgery almost right away and started rehabbing the next day.
We shouldn't doubt those kinds of people. The Kobe Bryant.
You shouldn't doubt him. I think he's back for the regular season. Period.
Okay.
I just do.
We'll see. Yeah.
He could have a setback. The body says one thing. Sometimes the mind says another. But he's going to do everything, to make sure that he's ready for the opener of the season. But that's intriguing that Justin Fields could actually start a few games for the Chiefs. Do they have any other quarterbacks on their roster? I don't know what their roster makeup is these days.
Well, they lost Gardner Minshew. He signed with the Arizona Cardinals. So he traded for a different thing. I'll pull up the roster, but I don't. Yeah. Who's that kid last year that started a bunch of random games?
I know.
Let me pull up his roster. Let me pull up the Chiefs roster here to see what it was. I can't remember for the life of me what that Aluakun or something that rings a bell. I don't know if that rings any bell for those in the audience. Chris Aluakun, maybe. I'm pulling up the roster now, so we'll see if really I remember that correctly.
We are going deep roster here.
Yes, I was right. Chris Aluakun. Shout out to Paul for future trivia night. And also, yes, that is a real player. And he did start key games at the end of the season for the Chiefs. Jake Haener is another one. He was drafted by the Saints on day 3 a couple of years ago. So, yeah, those are the 3 quarterbacks. And now Justin Fields, obviously the most prominent of all of them, entering the mix.
All right. Nope. That's fascinating. You got a 6th-round pick out of this, man? That's not bad. That's not
to
bad.
Me, that's what I'm saying. And
he's just going bye-bye. I mean, and to be honest with you, I mean, we won't know I guess we won't know the deets on the money, but how much are the Jets eating? Are they
that just came in. We do have
what are the Jets eating? What's the dead cap hit and all that kind of stuff? Because everything now is hey, what will you pay? You pay this and we'll pay that, and we'll see you in the morning.
Right. Well, I will also just say this as this is loading up here. If the Jets get any cap relief from this whatsoever, and it looks like they will here, if they get oh wow, okay, I see it here now. This is from Tom Pelissero of NFL Network. The Chiefs will take on $3 million of the $10 million Justin Fields is guaranteed in 2026. So the Jets essentially offset cash and pick they gave up to get the starter for Geno Smith. So they're paying Geno Smith $3.3 million. The Chiefs are paying Justin $3 million. So like it's basically a wash. They're getting that for free. And then they're getting a draft choice, which again they gave up to get Geno Smith. So wow, that's crazy. There you go.
So the
nice.
Jets are. I'm still unclear. What are the Jets paying Fields?
Okay, yeah. So the Jets signed Justin Fields last year to a 2-year deal for $40 million.
Right. I know
30 of that $40 million was guaranteed. This season they owed him $10 million guaranteed. Everyone assumed they were going to have to cut him. So the Jets are paying him $7 million of his $10 million. The Chiefs are paying 3 of the 10. So the Jets were sort of screwed. Like, geez, we have to pay $10 million for this guy we're going to cut. And the Chiefs come out of nowhere. Hey, we'll pay $3 million of that. So now you only have to pay 7, Jets. And now it still hurts because you paid Justin to hope he was going to be the long-term quarterback, and obviously he's not. So that part sucks. But this is a little less suck if you want to put it that way. So very nice. They saved some money and get a pick. Not bad. Great.
Yeah, it's $7 million on a dead cap. I mean, that's what it is. So it's a $7 million dead cap hit, but they don't have to have the total 10. That saved them $3 million. So there you
Correct.
go.
Yeah.
I do. Well, I don't know. I mean, I was gonna do a little NCAA tournament today before we start doing the football stuff. But should we just stay in football mode? It's up to you. What do you want to do? You want to stay in football
yeah. If you
mode?
want to talk some tournament, feel free. You could go. I got to catch up a
do
little bit on this
We're not
story.
going to do a long diatribe on the NCAA tournament. But yesterday was Selection Sunday. The brackets are out. There are a few pieces of fascinating news, and we can just go through the few pieces of fascinating news. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, feel free.
Okay.
Yeah, do whatever.
So
Sure.
I'm gonna have to actually put on my spectacles because I got a wonderful bracket here, by the way, this morning.
Okay.
And this is what's wonderful about it.
Okay.
This bracket that I'm holding here, all right,
yes,
is I don't know who put it out, but I picked it up on Twitter. I've always been wanting this for years and years. I've been wanting this, and now someone actually put it out. This bracket has all the dates of every game.
Perfect. Okay? Nice.
All the locations of every game.
Wow. Okay.
And for the ones that are already announced now in the first round, right? The times are out. You know what time you're playing this Thursday or Friday. You don't know what time you're playing on the weekend yet, but you know what time you're playing on Thursday or Friday, right? Mm-hmm. So, long story short, this bracket has everything that you could possibly know as of today. So that is super awesome because we have a regional, for instance. Well, not a regional. We have a pod that's being played in Buffalo. All right.
Yes.
So we're only 2 hours from Buffalo. We may want to hop in a car, maybe go see some NCAA tournament games later this week. And if we did, or if anybody in Central New York wanted to go out there, or for those of you that are downstate, Buffalo's not that far away. You want to go see some games. Buffalo has a pod. In the Buffalo pod, Louisville is against South Florida, Michigan State against North Dakota State. All right. And then they jump over to the other side of the bracket and that's from the East Regional. And then from the Midwest Regional in Buffalo, you've got Michigan, was the number 1 team a lot of this year. They're playing the winner of Howard and UMBC. That's one of those playing games. And then Georgia and St. Louis. St. Louis has been a fascinating team this year, and their coach just got re-upped, but Syracuse was, dare I say, rumored to maybe be interested in Josh Schertz, their head coach. Well, he's not going anywhere, it seems, but his team is playing in Buffalo. So those are the Buffalo games, and that's kind of interesting to the people here in Central New York that are subscribers and viewers of our program, that you could hop on out to Buffalo. Not too bad. By the way, there's another little pod down in Philadelphia. Also not a bad drive from New York, even closer, all right, from up here in upstate New York, about a 4-hour drive or even a little bit less than that. And in Philly, you've got Connecticut playing down there. You've got UCLA playing down there. You've got Tennessee playing down there. You've got Virginia playing down there. So, again, drivable to us right here in the greater New York area, New York State, 2 pods before we get to the regional level. And, the regions this year, by the way, Washington, D.C., Houston, San Jose, and Chicago. There'll be a team that'll come out of each of those regions that will go to the Final Four. But this is a fascinating bracket, and it's got all the dates and times and everything. So you know which games are Thursday, which games are Friday, so on and so forth. So very cool. Very cool bracket. All right, a couple of things I wanted to point out on the NCAA bracket, if I could, Boy Green. Yep. Number 1, Duke, no surprise, overall number 1 seed, but terrible news for Jerry McNamara, or is it great news if he somehow figures out a way to get it done? All right. But I would say terrible news. Siena, the team that Jerry McNamara, the former Orange legend, is coaching, is a 16 seed, and they drew the absolute shortest straw that you could possibly draw, okay, out of the NCAA tournament bracket. They get the number 1 overall seed, Duke. So they will have a mountain to climb in order to get out of the first round. So they're playing the best team, theoretically, at least by the numbers, in the tournament, and they get him in the very first round. You know, that could be good news for folks here at Syracuse, because a lot of Syracuse fans want to see Jerry McNamara be the next head coach at Syracuse after what he did this season, even getting that Siena team to the tournament. So if they get bounced right away this week, then they could go talk to Jerry and get him hired if Jerry wanted to come here and coach the Orange. So thought there. St. John's is in that same bracket. They'll play UNI in the first round in a 5-12 matchup. I thought St. John's was, I saw the projections that they were going to get a 5 seed. I thought they should be a little higher. They've had some good wins this year, but they are a 5 seed. And here's the bad news for St. John's. So they're in the same quadrant that Duke is in. Okay, so if they win, they could end up playing Duke 2 games down the road. And if they just win their first game, their next matchup is Kansas, all right, who's a pretty darn good team. Inconsistent little this year, Kansas, but you don't want to play Kansas in the second round, and that's exactly what St. John's will get. So Kansas right below St. John's in the bracket, taking on California Baptist. I'm feeling like Kansas is going to pull that one out for some reason, Boy Green, against California Baptist. But you never know. I mean, it's the NCAA tournament. So St. John's could play Kansas and Duke, theoretically, in back-to-back games if St. John's were to advance their way through the tournament. So my goodness, that's just to get to the Elite Eight. Oh my God. I mean, then you still got to play teams after that. So that's kind of crazy stuff there. Connecticut is also in that East bracket as well. And so is Boy Green. You might want to keep our eye on this one, which is being played down in Philadelphia. I mentioned UCLA. UCLA is playing the 10 seed. Oh no, I'm sorry. I had that wrong. Never mind. Just forget it. Wipe that off. I'm not even going to correct myself since I didn't even say it yet. Never mind. UCLA is playing Central Florida. I thought it was South Florida. So because South Florida, of course, has the coach that is another candidate for the Syracuse head coaching job, it seems, or on the list, at least as far as the talking heads go, as to who will be the next coach at Syracuse University. Okay, so that's just some highlights there. The 4 number 1 seeds: Duke, Florida, Arizona, no surprise there, and Michigan. Florida perhaps might be the one surprise, but they wanted somebody from the SEC, and that conference is gangbusters, has been the last couple of years. And Florida, despite a 26-7 losses this year for Florida, is still a number 1 seed in the tournament. And Houston's in their same bracket, so you could have a Houston-Florida. Wasn't that last year's championship game? I think it was. Houston against Florida, I think, was the national championship game last year. And those two teams would face in the South Regional in Houston. Okay, the South region winds its way down to Houston. So Houston would have a home game, theoretically, if everything went according to chalk, against Florida in the South Regional final to get to the Final Four. And that would be a rematch of last year's national championship game. So I'm sure that when the experts, the room was putting together this NCAA bracket, they were looking for some tasty possibilities down the road. And I think that's got to be one of them, that you could get Florida, Houston, a rematch of last year's national championship, a 1 and a 2 seed in this year's tournament, facing each other to go to the Final Four. That could be kind of cool. So that was a cool little bit there. I mentioned Michigan, number 1 seed in the Midwest region. Iowa State is the 2 seed there. Man, we see that Iowa State team every year. They get on that 2 line, that 3 line, and then they fizzle. We'll see if Iowa State maybe could get it done. They are one of those teams, when I pick my bracket, I just stay the heck away from. I always think they get upset somewhere along the way, because it just always seems that they get upset somewhere along the way. So, and then Arizona is the number 1 seed in the West bracket, and the number 2 seed there is Purdue, who's had another good year despite losing their big man a couple years ago, right? Their big man, Zach Edey. He was eating up space, but Purdue has remained very, very good this year again, and so they were good enough to draw a 2 seed. But boy, I look at that East Regional, Boy Green. Whew, stacked. Duke, St. John's, Kansas, Louisville's a 6 seed in that bracket. They're pretty decent. UCLA's a 7 in that bracket, and Connecticut is the number 2 in that bracket. That bracket feels like it's jacked, stacked, and wow, packed. East Regional, baby, I think is going to be the tough one. So there you go. A little bit of fodder on the NCAA tournament. You want to vamp on anything on that, Boy Green? It's up to you. You can.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say in general, this is, in a sad way, I guess, this is the what's the word? How to best describe this? This is the least amount of games I've watched in college basketball in a long time. Like, because Syracuse has been terrible, so it's been hard to engage in that season. It sort of seemed like it was all going that way for Adrian Autry, which has been depressing. And more of our conversations on a week to week basis have talked about, his lack of going to be here in a handful of months. So that's been depressing. And this year, I'm just not going to be in a bunch of brackets. So, like, that's another. I made who knows how many brackets I'm going to be in this year. So, yeah, it's been sort of sad from that perspective because, again, I love going to the bar on a Thursday or a Friday and seeing the first 2 days of March Madness. There's nothing quite like it. So, there's a certain juice there that I think I'm going to miss this year for sure.
All right, very, very cool. So there you have it. So yeah, me too. And I would say this. I'll add this, and then we'll move on to talk about some football stuff. Like you, I think of the last easily, period. But I mean, let's just take the last 10 years. Out of the last 10 years, I have watched less college basketball this year than any year in the last 10 years. For me, it's not just Syracuse being a great mediocrity and not really being relevant in the landscape of college basketball, because there are other teams that I like and enjoy. As you know, I grew up a St. John's fan growing up in Queens until I came to Syracuse, and that became my alma mater. I was a St. John's fan, truth be told. And I like a lot of other teams in college basketball, too, that I've followed over the years. But for me, it's not just the Syracuse thing. I'm sure that contributes. That certainly has added to, what do I need to tune into this for? All right. But the bigger thing for me is I just don't like where college basketball is right now. I mean, it's just that simple. College basketball has, to me, taken a turn for the worse. It has become a quasi-pro league. It is filled with, in my opinion, crybaby players who can't take discipline anymore. Legendary coaches have had to leave the game prematurely. I offer you Tony Bennett and Jay Wright as just two simple examples of legendary guys, even to a certain extent. I think Coach K probably bowed out partially because of this new world, NIL and the portal. I know Jim Boeheim always puts on a brave face that he loved it. He didn't love it. Don't buy it at all. I just think there have been a lot of great coaches that have walked away because this is just too difficult a landscape to navigate. It's hard to coach guys when they can just out and leave you and just go somewhere else the next year, where you have to revamp your roster literally every single year. It's not about getting the best high school players anymore and putting a roster together and then building it and teaching those kids how to play college basketball. Instead, it's now instant gratification. It just lacks so many things. And at the same time, I will say that I do think that the players needed to be compensated in some way. This was getting ridiculous how much the schools and the coaches were just raking in the dollars off the sweat equity, essentially, of the players. But this non-governed methodology that has attacked college basketball and just made it complete and utter chaos has literally made me less interested in college basketball. It's just not, it lacks its purity. It lacks its rah-rah nature that I think always made it different than pro sports and pro basketball. And so I don't know. I'm just in a place right now where I hate what's going on, and it just makes me not want to watch it. It just makes me less interested in it.
It's depressing.
So it's my take on I know it is depressing, right? Because it's not a place I want to be. And maybe the powers that be, I don't see it happening, but maybe the powers that be in college sports can somehow change this, get it more under control, create a more level playing field. Because to me, it's just whoever has the money wins. That's it. That's all it's become now. Whoever has the most money, generally speaking, wins. Coaches can't be hard on kids anymore, because if you're hard on people and they don't like it, they just leave. I don't know. It just lacks the things that I used to love about it. I loved the hard-nosed coaches. I still can't believe that Rick Pitino is getting away with what Rick Pitino is getting away with. I heard an interview of his over the weekend. St. John's won the Big East tournament for the second straight year. He's done amazing things at St. John's. It's ridiculous. That team was in the dumpster. I mean, they were a dumpster fire a few years back, and he has completely turned them around. But the biggest thing was he was talking about how hard he is on his players and how he demands that they work hard every day and they like put in, and he was standing with one of his players, Ejiofor, who's a senior. You've heard of him. He's the big guy for St. John's.
Yeah, right.
And Ejiofor was just nodding away. And coach was saying, yeah, I even yell at this guy sometimes, even though he's a living, breathing example of how things need to be done. He's like, he literally said, if you can't get on board, then you get benched. Like, I bench you. I don't play you. So Pitino is one of those guys where he's been able to maintain that discipline, right? Despite the temptation of, if I discipline this guy too hard, if I say the wrong thing, he might leave next year because he doesn't like me yelling at him, So somehow, some way, he's figured out a way around it. I don't know how. I just think he's a uniquely talented coach, and there probably are a handful of others out there that are as well. But it just feels like a whole new landscape, and I don't like it. So there you go. That's my sour taste on all things college basketball. So,
hey, some man-child musings. We haven't gotten to those in this new digital world, so I like that you're getting your chance to, rip it off now.
Yeah. So that's it. Okay. That's it. We'll enjoy the games. Play-in tournament starts with tomorrow night. And then the games, obviously, still regardless, I'm sure I probably will, but not in the same way. But I will show up on Thursday and Friday of this week where they play games from noon till midnight. Okay. Yep. And it's just continuous. You don't have to ever walk away from the television. Or if you do, they're just flipping from one game to the next. You can put on the quad box if you want and watch four at a time when 4 at a time are going on. I do really enjoy that. I'm very curious to see, despite the fact that my intention is to get in front of the television and look, will I stay there for the 12 hours? Will I just go, it's kind of nice out today. Maybe I'll, go take a walk. Maybe I'll go, do something. So I don't know, but we'll see. But
the best place to enjoy it all is the bar
for college basketball because of what's going on. I'm sorry. What was that, BG?
No, I was just saying, the best place to enjoy it is a bar. Obviously, if you can have that set up at your house, that's even better. But, they have 20 TVs. Absolutely. You're constantly getting served food and drink. Most of us, like I said, for many years, I've had skin in the game from, having a bracket and rooting on for having some interest in a game of South Technical Institute versus this school that I would normally know interest in for no apparent reason, but like I have interest in it for this time. So Thursday and Friday are some of the best days in sports. There's no question.
Yeah, they are. So hopefully everybody does at least give it a dabble. But yeah, I don't know. The luster's off the bloom is off the rose to me right now with college basketball in particular. But I'm glad St. John's is relevant. I certainly will be paying attention to them. But man, you're talking about a bad draw, Kansas and then Duke back to back after your first round. A game that you should win in the first round. You're going to likely get Kansas and then Duke. Yikes. Yeah. Hope for some upsets. That's all I can say. Hope for some upsets. If you're St. John's, you're hoping for some upsets. Maybe Siena pulls off the miracle somehow and beats Duke. Does that move Jerry McNamara out of the top of the list immediately, Boy Green? If they beat Duke. Somebody had texted me this morning about that. He goes, fantastic draw for Jerry. I was like, what? And they were like, think about it. He beats Duke. He's the next coach of Syracuse. I'm like, that is interesting. The current coaching staff couldn't beat Duke, and they play him usually a couple of times a year. Most years they play him twice. At least some years they play him twice. They're in the same league. They're guaranteed to play him once a year, and they couldn't figure out a way to beat him. If Jerry McNamara could figure out a way to beat him with Siena, I guess that would make him a very viable head coaching candidate for the Syracuse program. So we'll see. That is a fascinating. Isn't that though, Boy Green, a weird piece of karma that he gets Duke? Any team in the field could have got Duke. Right. And most of the rumors out there was that Siena was going to be a little better than a 16 seed, maybe a 15, or dare I say it, even a 14. But they end up on the 16, and they get the number 1 overall team bracket, the number 1 overall seed. Ouch.
Yeah. That's
so but you got to embrace it, right? If you're Siena, you can't look at it and go, oh, you have to go, let's embrace it. The problem is, and this is the real thing for those that think that Jerry McNamara is going to go out there and beat Duke. And look, it's college basketball. Anything can happen. So I'm not saying it can't happen, but I would say it's really small chance. I mean, Duke is just big. And that's the thing that these smaller schools, call them mid-majors or even smaller than mid-majors is they lack size, So they have athletic guys, but they don't have size. And when they meet, a Duke, a North Carolina, a Kansas, these teams that just recruit size every single year, it's just hard. It's like, in the old days when teams played against Will Chamberlain, you're just like, what do we do? Can't stop this guy.
Right.
He's just a foot taller than everyone else, and he's twice as athletic. And once he gets the ball 5 feet from the basket, it's over. There's nothing to do here. Foul him or he's going to score, or foul him and score. So that's just the way of the world. So, look, hey, that's why we have this tournament called the NCAA tournament. It's one and done, and anything can happen. But we know how there've only been a few times. Is it 3 now, maybe 3 or 4 times that a 16 has beaten a 1, or is it only 2?
I believe it's only twice. It's
twice.
UMBC, who, by the way, they're back in the tournament, and then Purdue got knocked off a couple of years ago by a team that's escaping me.
2 and counting. So 2 times in the history of the tournament has a 16 beaten a 1.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's ever. This is an interesting one, Boy Green. I guess we could figure that out from those 2 instances. Not too hard to look it up. Was either of those number ones, there was number 1 seeds against 16 seeds, was either one of those number ones the overall number 1
I believe
seed?
Virginia may have been. I don't believe Purdue was.
I don't think Purdue was either. So really, we just have to look up.
Virginia is much more likely, but
overall, that was the year that I took Virginia to win the whole thing. Remember that? That was a disaster.
I do remember that.
I don't remember if they were number 1 overall seed. But then I courageously took them the following year, and they did win the tournament the following year. And I won our whole March Madness bracket and all the prizes. So that was awesome. Nobody thought I'd go back into that barrel after being the first team in history to be upset by a 16 seed, and yet the reverse psychology worked completely. So there you go. Yeah, all right. Let's go back to football. I saw we had. Is this a super chat, Boy Green? Or
yes, it is. Yeah, that is a super chat. So go ahead, Lurch.
Thank you, Tennessee. Oh, let me play something for him, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, please.
All right. Yep. Okay. I don't have my screen up here, so let me just bounce on over.
Okay.
So is this video time? Can I do videos?
Yes, that's exactly what you should do.
All right. I'm going to pick a nice video for you here, Tennessee Jet. Thanks for that. Yes, Justin Fields indeed was traded right at the top of this show. We had it breaking right off the top of the show, and we could talk more about it if you want. All right. Okay. Let me pick a nice video for this guy. All right. How about this one?
Well, when it's game time, it's pain time, baby. Woo!
There you go. Game time, pain time. All right.
Beautiful.
Justin Fields trade.
Yeah, so let's highlight it again. If you guys missed it, thank you, Tennessee Jet, for the $2 super chat coming in here. Yes, this is absolutely jarring, surprising news. Justin Fields was terrible on the Jets last year. He started 9 games. 4 of his 9 games, he had 60 passing yards or fewer. He was god awful. It was a disaster. Week 1 was a slight. He had like his best game. He threw like a bunch of touchdown passes, found Garrett Wilson, and we said, oh my God, we got a franchise quarterback. This is great. And then the rest of it was terrible, basically. And yes, so the Jets have traded Justin Fields from the Jets to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Jets get, of course, Justin Fields. Jets get a 6th-round pick in 2027. So you get a draft pick for Justin Fields, a guy they were going to cut. So, wow, great. Contractually speaking, the Jets owed Justin Fields $10 million in guaranteed salary this season, upcoming, whether they cut him, kept him, or anything. The Chiefs are paying 3 of that $10 million, so the Jets are footed with the rest of the bill, $7 million. But that's okay, because again, to note, Jets are going to cut Justin Fields, so any money saved is a blessing from the high skies. So Justin Fields from the Jets to the Chiefs. Lurch believes that Patrick Mahomes will be ready week 1. Maybe he will be, but I think there's a strong chance he is not, which means Justin Fields would be the week 1 starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, which is wild in its own right. So masterclass by Darren Mucci. To the fact that apparently multiple teams were interested, Justin Fields' preference, I can't believe that he was even in a position to have a preference, but he had one. It was the Chiefs. So the Jets said, sure, I guess we'll send you to the place you want to go. Apparently multiple teams interested. Insane. Darren Mucci deserves a statue. Again, he is the one that signed Justin Fields in the first place, so he deserves whatever blame is necessary for that. But you got to pivot. When you do something, it doesn't work, and you're able to call an audible and do something different. He deserves a lot of credit for getting a draft pick, saving money. Incredible. So I am absolutely surprised that they got anything for him and that he was able to be traded. So, again, I brought it up earlier. So, again, if Jim CBW has joined us in the chat, I want a full apology from that young man for everything that happened earlier this offseason. I heard a lot of crap about that.
He didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. didn't say.
Well, apparently I don't see him yet, but which he should be in hiding. That's what I would do if I was in his position. But he gave me all kinds of crap when I even floated out of Justin Fields trade as a possibility. He went like, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're an idiot." And now what?
No,
now where are you? Where
yeah,
are you? Huh? Okay. Suddenly gone.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
when you get, if you're gonna get emphatic about something, like literally say, "There's no way this is happening. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard," but
Yes.
take a good look at sports before you do that. Like I said, I think there's just about, and I remember I'm using just about no chance that Siena beats Duke. Okay, all right. Duke is the number 1 overall seed. Right. They outmatched them athletically ridiculously. But I also have watched the NCAA tournament. I watched UMBC take out a fantastic Virginia team. You know, I watched Purdue go down to a 16, and we don't have to do 16. We can go to 15 and 14 seeds that have taken out teams. And you thought when you looked at them in the starting lineups, when you knew the records, when you knew the coaches, when you knew all the details, no, come on, not a chance. And it happens, right? Crazy stuff happens. So,
right,
you know, the emphatic, absolute no chance. If you're going to put your money down on that, then you better make sure that it is something that you really are going to die in the sword on, because because you're going to get stabbed in the back. All right, if it goes the other way, right? It's sometimes it's just not worth it to be absolutely positively emphatic about something like that, and to say like, no way is a guy,
because then something like this happens.
Can be traded. There are people that look at certain players and still assess a certain value on those players. So obviously Kansas City looks at Justin Fields and they say he's worth something. We don't really have a true backup quarterback right now. We may be starting the season without our starting quarterback. Let's bring in a guy who has some experience, okay, who has had some good games in the NFL, all right, who I don't know what he knows about their system. Maybe there's some kind of system tie.
That I don't know, right?
This is done in the past, there may be some other, thread, of something that they say, there's more likely a reason this works here because of this. Okay. But whatever it is, somebody out there finds value in somebody that sometimes you find no value in. I mean, look, the Giants decided to keep Evan Neal, for crying out loud. Do we need to go any further than that? I mean, that guy has been a tragedy since the moment he's come in the league. He was the 6th pick in the draft, 5th. What was he, Boy Green? I can't even remember anymore. I've said it so many times. All right.
7th, I believe.
7th pick in the draft. He was the 7th pick in the draft. Okay. And the Giants, he's big, he's huge. He's actually a huge guy. Played at Alabama, one of the best schools in the nation, year in and year out. You don't even get into that school as a football player unless you are a stud coming out of high school. He had stud numbers at Alabama, and he comes into the NFL, and he's a complete flop. A complete flop. He's done nothing right. Nothing right. Even off the field, he's done dopey stuff. And John Harbaugh comes in, fresh set of eyes, okay, fresh set of people around him. And he says, well, we could let this guy walk, and let somebody else roll the dice on him, but he's here, and he's an awful big dude. I mean, I walked past him in a hallway the other day, man. That guy's all 6'6", 340 pounds.
100%.
That's a lot. There aren't too many people in this world that are that size, that have that body, that play for Alabama, that were the 7th pick in the draft. Maybe we can do something about this. And I don't know that they're going to change Evan Neal. I doubt it. Okay. But they looked at it and they said, I see some value in this guy. And I think this is the same thing all over again with Justin Fields. Somebody out there sees some value in this guy and says, I can do something with him, period.
And I would say, well, for, like Evan Neal, there's no guaranteed money. So it's all reward, no risk. If at any point he's a bum, you just get rid of him.
Right. Veterans minimum. They can have him through OTAs, see what he does there. If he does well in OTAs, they can bring him to camp, see what he does there. They could cut him at the beginning. They can cut him during camp. They can cut him before the regular season. All options are on the table because there's so little being spent here on him. But I actually, in a weird way, as much as sometimes you just want guys to just leave. Like you just just leave, please. You've stunk up the place long enough. I just don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to hear anybody mentioning your name. But I think John Harbaugh did a smart thing. I think he said, we have nothing to lose by looking at this guy for another few months, seeing what he does in our system with our coaches. I don't know. Maybe a light bulb goes off. Maybe something happens, and this 6'6", 340-pound guy suddenly plays to what a 6'6", 340-pound guy is capable of playing to. We got ourselves a starting tackle or guard. I guess they're going to probably play guard.
Yeah,
move them inside, not a guard. He started as a tackle. Yeah. So nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. So.
And I would just say this, that, with all due respect to my own team, other teams see things fail on the Jets, go, yeah, but it's the Jets. They blame a lot of other things before they get to the player, if I'm just being honest.
Sure.
And so if I'm the Chiefs and I'm Andy Reid, I'm like, I'm offensive wizard Andy Reid. Yeah, I think I can figure something out with this Justin Fields guy. That clown show over there with the Jets, they can't figure out anything. So yeah, we'll take him off your hands and turn him into gold. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields has success. We've seen him have success in his career before. Just with the Jets, it was an epic disaster. Now, I think some of that was Justin Fields being terrible, but some of it is the Jets are terrible. So it was a perfect storm. And again, Darren Muji deserves a lot of credit. Can't believe he got anything for him. So good for Justin. He gets to the friggin' Chiefs. How much better can he get than that? So good for him.
All right. This is the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital, our handle on YouTube. Don't forget to pop that subscribe button. Also, make it a habit when you come into the room every time we're doing a live show to just pop that like button. That gets our videos out to a larger audience. It really helps us grow our subscriber base. And also, as you see in the scrolling ticker below, if you're already a subscriber, become a member. Help support our channel at just $4.99 a month. It's fantastic. You get some really, really cool benefits. And again, you just have to be on our channel and click the join button. And then you see all the options, and then you can pick your option that suits you the best. But we appreciate anybody out there that already is supporting our channel. And if you want to gift memberships, you can do that as well. There are all kinds of ways, dare I say, to contribute to the cause. So we do appreciate it if you do that. All right, we are presented today by Northeast Roofing Professionals. Let's just take 30 seconds. We'll learn a little bit more about our friends from Northeast, and then we're back. We're going to break down the Giants and the Jets today. I don't know if we'll get to the Bills, but we'll do the Giants and the Jets for sure, okay? What they've done in free agency and trades and how the roster is looking now as we close in. Now, what are we, about a month away from the draft now, Boy Green? The draft is
5 weeks.
Something.
Yeah.
5 weeks away.
23rd.
5 weeks from the draft in Pittsburgh, PA. Boy Green himself is going to be there. 5 weeks away from the draft. How are these rosters shaping up, and how might the Giants and Jets think about what they're going to do in the draft based on what they've already done with their rosters at this point? And there is a lot to unpack for both of these teams. So we'll get into all of that when we return right after this word from our friends at Northeast Roofing.
Finding the right local roofing company can be tricky. You don't want to hire the wrong roofers, or you could end up spending a fortune on repairs. The pros at Northeast Roofing Professionals can ensure your home is protected by a strong and sturdy roof. Locally owned and operated, over 30 years experience, free estimates, and competitively priced. Don't settle for an inexperienced roofing contractor. Turn to Northeast Roofing Professionals. Discounts for military and first responders. Reach out and let them put a sturdy roof over your head. NERPCNY.com. NERPCNY.com.
And our friends at Northeast, specializing in the DeWitt and Fayetteville areas and the areas surrounding there here in central New York. And as the commercial says, and I think it's a really important thing to mention here, you do want experienced people on your roof. I think that matters a lot for a lot of reasons. And Northeast, as I said, 30 years in the business, fantastic. And as you saw in some of the pictures there, they not only do the shingled roofs, which are awesome, but you could do those metal roofs. So if you're into those fancy roofs, the metal ones that supposedly last over 30 years, our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals do those as well. So again, it's NERPCNY.com. That's NERPCNY.com. If you want to get your roof done this wonderful, wonderful spring, summer, or fall season, you want to reach out to Northeast Roofing now to try and get that set up for the future. They're obviously going to come over, look at your house, give you an estimate and all that kind of stuff, but you do want to do that now because they will start getting booked up for the summer. So tell them the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital sent you. We'd love for you to give us a little plug as well. Hey, maybe they'll do you a solid, that I have any kind of arrangement, but maybe they'll do you a solid. So go talk to our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals. All right, Boy Green, let's do this. All right, let's break down Jets and Giants. Let's start with the Jets. All right, you guys made a lot of moves, man. You guys were really busy. You're calling Darren Muji. I've heard the nickname King Muji. I've heard all kinds of superlatives. Emperor Muji. Darren Muji, working alongside his head coach Aaron Glenn, had a lot of money to work with, And the Jets have been making a lot of moves. And it's interesting to me because I saw some talking heads out there that were saying the Jets aren't going to do all that much. They're just going to spend the bare minimum and move on and yada, yada, yada. And yet that has not been the case. I think they've made some significant moves. And they are reshaping that roster. Hopefully, I think Aaron Glenn is hoping to reshape that roster in his own image. What will that image end up being on the playing field? We shall find out. So let's talk about what the Jets have done. And then in lieu of that, Boy Green, how does that set them up for the NFL draft in 5 weeks? So break it down if you could.
Yeah, of course. Let's go through it. You mentioned it. The Jets made a lot of moves, so there's a lot to unpack here. On defense, I'll start. Well, I guess we should start with the quarterback before I go any further. Of course, the Jets traded last week for Geno Smith. It's a reunion. It's one of the most unlikely reunions I've ever heard of in my life. This is a guy that was drafted by the Jets back in 2013. That's when I was in college back in those days. So it was a long time ago. And he was the 39th overall pick in the second round of the 2013 NFL draft, a first round pick that a lot of people thought he was going to be a first round pick quarterback, but he ended up not being that. And there's a lot of frustrations in the draft room and a lot of extra drama that was involved there. And he ends up returning, and the Jets get him for a song. It's $3 million and change they're paying for in terms of his salary. Most of it was already guaranteed from the Las Vegas Raiders. That helped out a lot, obviously. And on top of that, you gave up a pick swap. You gave up a 6th round pick, and you got a 7th round pick in return. It was a whole lot of just nothing burger. And you got this quarterback who, again, which I like a lot. I think he is motivated as all heck to prove that last year on the Raiders was just nothing more than a blip on the radar because the Raiders stunk as a team, and that was more the team than him, although he had a lot of mistakes himself that he sort of has to keep accounted for. So obviously, the Jets acquired Geno Smith. He's their new quarterback. The Jets seemingly every year have a different quarterback. I've had Justin Fields, as we talked about earlier, Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Brady Cook, for God's sakes. I mean, we've been through every possible iteration from a quarterback perspective for the Jets. So yeah, why not go back to an old one in Geno Smith? So they get Geno Smith. That was a big addition. On the offensive line, they signed Dylan Parham, formerly of the Las Vegas Raiders. They had a huge void, a huge gap at left guard. Elijah Vera-Tucker left. He signs with the Patriots. Disgusting.
Before you move past Elijah Vera-Tucker, just because there's been a lot of scuttlebutt here in the last few days now that he's arrived in New England and has talked to some reporters and so on and so forth. And AVT, it sounds like from what insiders are saying that cover the Jets day in and day out, that essentially AVT didn't want to play for the Jets. That AVT just, for whatever reason, thought the Jets were bad luck, didn't like the way it went with the Jets, whatever. I mean, I think a lot of the blame actually is on him for constantly getting hurt, to be honest with you. I don't understand, unless he saw a black cat in the hallway or something, what the heck happened to make him, what did he tear his tricep twice? And
both triceps, so not the same one twice. One side, and then it's Achilles.
And then the Achilles. I mean, come on. I mean, how does that have anything to do with the team that you're rostered on? But apparently there's some bad blood there. So now he goes and plays for the enemy. So I guess it's safe for Jet fans to truly root against AVT, who I thought once was kind of a popular player. Didn't they name captain one of the years or something too?
Yeah, he did this past year, as a matter of fact, unfortunately, and he got out for the season 2 weeks later. So that was unfortunate. Lurch, can you help me with something? I don't know if you're going to have a story to share on this, but I'm going to share the full story of this on the Espresso Club. But I want this from you. It's funny that you bring up, AV, or we start, sort of breaking down and really going through AVT here. So I wrote a story yesterday about AVT and basically everything you just said, that, from all accounts, there's multiple reports now from New England themselves, from Jets reported. There's multiple reports that AVT did not want to come back here. And you know what? Again, I just want to say that, right, to your point, does it really have anything to do with the Jets that this happened? Like that he was this? I don't know. Maybe it's in his head. Maybe it's bad juju. And he's like, I just want to get away. Which, by the way, if that's how he feels, God
all right.
bless. You
He
can
is
do
all
whatever the hell you want. You're a free
Right.
agent. You can sign anywhere you want and make this happen. But I'm
Correct.
curious, Lurch. Here's what happened. So I write this story basically saying that, hey, we now have multiple confirmed sources, and here they are. Boom, boom, boom. They say AVT, the Jets wanted AVT, but AVT didn't want the Jets. The feeling wasn't mutual. So I write this story. And one of the things I do on top of writing stories, I like getting clips, sound bites from around the universe. AVT has since done his Patriots media presser with the local media, and he brought up the Jets several times. So I highlighted all his quotes he said. And so I write the story, I post it out online. Yesterday, I get an alert on my phone. Elijah Vera Tucker has just messaged you. And I went, what?
Wow.
So I go to my phone and I'm like, well, let me check this is real. I went, oh, this is the real person.
This is him.
And I'm like, oh goodness. Okay. Where's this going to go? Because it starts off with, he DMs me my story. So like, there's no words, no message, no nothing. And I was like, well, where is this about to go? And then we have a back and forth for 5 minutes or something, going back and forth about things, about the story. And he says, this is BS. That's not true, that I didn't want to come back to the Jets. And I'm like, hey, AVT, first off, I appreciate you reaching out. I said, so first off, I appreciate you reaching out. Number two, I take a lot of pride in my work and cite my sources and things. I've been doing that back since high school, college. Citing sources is important. These are the people, reporter this, reporter this, reporter that. They all said this. That's where my story came from. And he says, well, that's all bullshit. And I'm like, okay. So I would love to update the story. Are you telling me? And then I go sort of a back and forth with him that these things. So you're saying this. So I like sort of paraphrase, say, are you saying that this information is true?
To me because I'm quoting you, pal.
Yeah, right. So I'm saying, are you saying that this stuff is false? In essence, this part is true, because I will update the story right now if that's not true. Because I want to be a purveyor of the truth. I want to share the truth to the world. And, unfortunately, I didn't, again, we'll tell the whole story on the Espresso Club later this month, but have you ever written a story or done a piece about someone and then you heard from that subject matter? Now, it's going to be a little different for you, I imagine, because in my world, it's a reality of what I do. I am more so an aggregator. I hear other information. I add my opinion, sort of like an opinion column, and I give some of my opinions. So like the Jets, Justin Fields. Wow, here's what happened. Boom, boom, boom. He was just traded. Whoa, I can't believe Darren Muja got anything for him. That's my opinion. But I gave the facts, and I share my opinion on what the story is. So I don't work for the team. I'm not around the team every day, so I don't have a lot of original stories of just my observations from practice or something.
Correct.
So I know it's going to be a little different from you because, like, as you do a news piece, most news people probably go back to the original source and say, hey, we're about to run this story. Do you have anything you'd like to add or anything? So maybe that'll defeat this, or maybe you will have a story for this. But like, have you ever had the subject matter of something you did on TV or radio or something reach back out to you after, and what happened from there?
Many times is the answer.
Okay. All right. I'd love to learn some more, because this is one of the first times it's happened in this way.
I mean, I don't know if I can glean a specific example,
Right.
And I probably would rather not talk names anyway, just because.
Right. You can protect the innocent, hide the names that you want. Yeah, it's just more so to me the story. Right.
Here's what I can tell you. Okay. That in every instance, my question always to the person who was questioning the story or didn't like the story or had an issue with something I said or a story I wrote, I would say to them, tell me what is incorrect in the story.
Yeah.
And I will correct it. Because I didn't like that thing that you said about, I said, I understand you didn't like it. Tell me what was incorrect about it. Did I misquote you? Did I say something that isn't inherently true that I presented as fact? Generally speaking, most of the things I've done until we got into this world of talk, okay?
Right. Yeah, right.
But prior to that, and things, generally speaking, things that I've done in the written world, I was reporting. I was just writing the facts and not really offering opinion. Now you come into this
Okay.
talk world, which I've been
Yeah.
in for a long time now. It's really
Right.
where I've been most of my life. And now this, the handcuffs are off. I mean, there's no shackles in this world. You and I
Yeah.
can say whatever the heck we want right
Sure.
now, and nobody is saying what they're saying is fact. Okay, everybody knows that tunes into the show every week that they're listening to our opinions. They're listening to our takes
Sure.
on things.
Mhm.
We're spilling out some facts. Hey, we're talking about the Jets and the Giants today and what they did in free agency and trades and how that's going to shape them for the draft. Okay, that's the content essentially of today's show. So we're going to go give you some facts. Hey, here are the players the Jets have. Here's the players that the Giants have right now. Here are the holes that are still on the roster. And then we're going to say, I'd love it if they pick Sonny Styles. And boy, I'd really love it if they went and got a corner in the draft. And hey, I would love this too if they would fill in that. And I think it would be wise for them to do so. But nobody says that's what the Giants are doing because Manchild says it. Everyone gets it, right? It's opinion. But in those cases where I was writing facts about stories, I always would go back and say, you tell me what I've, and in every case, Boy Green, the conversation basically ended with, there's nothing wrong with the story. The story is fact. There's nothing in the story that is untrue. Did you go to this school? Yes, you did. Did you have a fight with the coach? Yes, you did. Did it end badly? Yes, it did. Yeah, but I don't like the way it's, you didn't tell it. Is there anything in the story that's untrue? That was always my jab back at anyone. And then if they did say that was untrue, I'd say, can you provide some proof? Because I'll gladly correct that. I will write a correction immediately, or given the opportunity to rewrite something, I'll rewrite it and put it out. Like this thing with the AVT that you had, fascinating. First of all, this is the world of social media today. It's so different today than it was.
Right. Oh yeah. Right.
Started in this business, but this happens. Athletes reach directly out to reporters these days, and you have access. Just DM them. You're like, if you know it's the guy, you're gonna engage in a conversation. Why wouldn't you? It's news, right? You are unearthing news now. You've got a player saying you wrote something that he didn't like or he didn't find true, and then you say, well, what, geez, tell me what was wrong. I think you kind of approach it the right way, and then if he's willing to go on a record and say some of that stuff, now you can write a news story and say, I spoke to AVT directly just a couple of days ago, and here's what he said, and here's what he said is untrue. In the end, you don't know, but you can say that he said it.
Yeah, right.
It can be untrue, and then let the chips fall where they may. Maybe those other reporters are going to follow back up. Maybe those other reporters are going to refute what he said to you. But who cares? This is what a dialogue is all about, right? What people are saying and whether it's true or not true. But to me, I always tried to echo back to whoever came to me. You tell me what's not true. And in every case, they never told me anything that wasn't true. I never had to rewrite anything or retract anything. And that's part of good reporting, right? That you double check your sources. You make sure you're quoting the right sources. You're attributing that material to who said it, who didn't say it, how it was reported, when it was reported. That does, to a certain extent, back up your writing. That backs you up, that it's not, I didn't say it. I said Rich Cimini said it, and he covers the Jets every day, and he reported, this, and I'm just echoing what he reported, and then I'm offering my opinion on it. And people that read my piece understand that this is what Rich said, and this is what I think. Those two things are very different. Now, if AVT says, I don't like the way you think, Paul, say, well, I'm sorry that you don't. I wish you did like the way I think. I wish everybody that I wrote about on I love the Jets, and I loved you until you left and now paying for the Patriots. I hate your butt, right? You know what I mean? Like I loved you, man. Look at you. You betrayed me. But you get my point, right? So, but I wish you would love me, but, I try to speak my truth. I feel like I'm qualified to do so, and therefore I do. And, everybody can't like you. It's just not the real world.
That's true. I will tell you that, going, because again, I hope everyone that does this profession takes great pride in their work. Double check your quotes, you double check your facts. Before we're going through a story, my process is I write a story and then I don't publish it. I go through it once. I go through it twice. I double check my quote. I go through a very meticulous process before an article is ever posted, and let alone whatever other editors or anything at my own standards of going through that process. I check it a bunch of times. Now, I'm human. Mistakes could happen. But when he questioned it, I went back through my story. I'm like, well, let me make sure. Yeah, Yeah. A direct quote from you, AVT, where they quoted you in the story was like, you said you wanted a fresh start, and that was a big piece of the puzzle. What am I not understanding here? So, anywho, it's just interesting. But it goes to show you that same thought I had when I got that DM and I confirmed it was real, Lurch, is I just said, we are in a new world, that someone must have texted him or something, because I didn't tag him, and it went over to him. So, unbelievable. So it's a new world we're in, Lurch. It's a very new world we're in. But again, I want to say to AVT and anyone else in the universe that reaches out to me, please, if I ever get anything wrong, I want to be held accountable just in the same way we, supposedly in the media, hold players accountable out there in the field.
Oh, yeah, quickie here.
Okay.
Back to the world of correcting, right? I was just checking something from earlier.
Oh.
We were talking
Oh.
about the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
I was talking about South Florida because Syracuse is interested
Yes,
in
right.
Hudson, the South Florida coach, who's done a really good
Sure.
job there. South Florida is indeed in the East region. Okay, so is
Yeah.
Central Florida. They both are. They listed South Florida as South Florida
I see.
instead of USF, and I spotted the other one, which is UCF. UConn. UCF is a 10 seed. They're playing UConn. South Florida is an 11 seed. They're playing Michigan State, and that's in the Buffalo pod. So if you want to go see potentially the future coach of Syracuse, if you believe it's going to be Josh Hodgson, he's right there in Buffalo. You can go out and see him this week. All right. So yeah, that's that. I knew I saw that somewhere. And then I was like, oh, did I get that wrong? I must have, whoever reported it gave me the wrong information. I better back up on that before I go down the wrong street.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
That's
right.
always why you cite your sources, right?
why you
We
cite-
always cite our sources. I talk about that,
That's why I stopped
my
myself.
goodness.
I was like, I think I got that wrong. Like, gosh, I
Yeah.
heard that and I thought I saw that and I didn't see it. They listed it weirdly on the bracket. It says South Fla.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't see that. Usually I'm looking for USF, for University of South
Yeah.
Florida. All right. Anyways, they are in the
Right.
East and they're playing in Buffalo. All right. I don't want to go back to the NCAA tournament. I want to keep talking about the
No,
Jets
no,
and the
that's
Jets.
okay.
So let's keep
Yeah.
doing that. But
Yeah,
no,
real quick,
fascinating story. That's really cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, again, this it literally happened last night. As my fiance is preparing dinner, I get a ding on the phone, and again, there's a few more key details. I'll share that on the Espresso Club because, I want to protect the innocent. I behind a paywall, I feel a little more comfortable sharing
Definitely.
any of the details of the conversation.
agree
But it's just interesting. But again, I love that this world exists. There's good and bad with social media, and that's a whole nother podcast we could have about the good and bad of what social media is. But I like the fact that I can be held accountable if I write a story, which again, at first AVT was questioning the legitimacy of my story, said, make sure you get it right next time, buddy, before you write. I'm like, whoa, hey man, here are all the details. So it's just, but again, that was just a wild moment of seeing my phone go off and seeing that name. And I'm like, there's no way. And I check, I'm like, holy freaking crap, that's real. You see 50,000 followers and I'm following him already. Oh yeah, that's a real guy. So
it just shows you how much athletes today read, how much they're on social, how much
100%. Because I didn't tag him. That'd be the other thing. If I tagged him, he'd get the alert. And then what the hell is this all
make
about?
a decision.
So
Right. Yeah, make a
I
decision.
didn't say a word. So unless these athletes, and I know athletes do this, I don't know if it's AVT, but I know athletes do this. They search their own name and just see what's happening, who's talking about me, what are they saying. And so if he looked up Elijah Vera Tucker, I'm sure my story came up. People were retweeting it and interacting with the story. So I'm sure they were. So yeah, that just goes to show you though, that is a crazy world.
Yeah, no doubt. And the other thing is maybe someone else sent it to him. Like he's got buddies.
Oh, sure, totally.
Somebody saw it, read it, and then was like, "I send this to my buddy AVT."
Is this true? Right?
Yeah, or right. With a little, hey, is this true, buddy? And then next thing you know, he's DMing you, and you're like,
yeah. So again, it's interesting world.
That's awesome. Yeah, but I always say just stand by the facts, and if you do have the facts wrong, then you own up to that. You own up to that,
100%.
and you correct it. And there's never been a time where if I didn't find that I did something wrong, said something wrong, that I didn't correct myself. So I know sometimes it's it's late, but I always think better late than never.
Oh,
and
for sure.
It's too bad. The piece is already out there, or the opinion has been given, and then I find out it was an ill-informed opinion or a poorly written piece where my source wasn't good or something, or I made a mistake when I was reporting it, and I would absolutely positively always correct myself. You want to get things right. Your reputation in this business is about getting things right, I think, and I think most ethical reporters, most reporters want that as their reputation. They don't want their reputation to be, they just don't quote sources and just say wild things. I mean,
Yeah, right.
gets you attention that way, but it doesn't. You don't typically last in this business very long if you do that. Although this
Definitely
business obviously has gotten a lot looser in recent years because now you don't have to go work for the New York Times or the Daily
No,
News or the New York
anyone with a
Post
phone, right?
or ABC News to right. Like anybody with a phone now is essentially a reporter or could be. Um, but that's also up to each audience member to disseminate and decide whether whatever that person is putting out is worthy of their time and is worthy of their, of their reading, of their viewing, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I would also say this, and then I'll get back. I see there's questions in the chat, and also we're in the middle of doing this free agency recap and all that too. I would say AVT certainly felt this way based on my conversation with him, but I'm sure a lot of athletes do. They have their guard up. They're like, everyone in the world is trying to get me. Everyone in the world, it's this. Oh, here's whoever the hell Paul Esdin, because I've never interacted with AVT in my life before, so this was a first. But whoever this guy is, he's trying to get me. He's trying to do something to me. I'm like, well, man, I'm not trying to do nothing. I'm just trying to share the facts. And we went back and forth about it. But I think a lot of athletes feel that way in today's society. Every interview, they have to be on the edge of their seat because that could be a viral moment if it goes in a different direction. So again, a bigger chat perhaps for a future podcast class, which we can dive into. But also, I see people are coming in and out on the field saying, yes, the Jets gained $3 million in cap space with this move.
Correct.
If they would have just cut him, which again was the plan for the Jets to do, pre-June 1, they would have saved $1 million. Post June 1 designation, they would have saved around $10 million. But now the Jets save legitimately $3 million, and they don't have to do any cap gymnastics. The cap is the cap. So again, for the Jets, good move. For the Chiefs, perhaps good move. I trust Andy Reid, so no matter what of a disaster Justin Fields looked like here, I'm sure Andy Reid can get the most out of Justin whatever he is. And at this point, if Patrick Mahomes to miss any time, it's Chris Aluakun. Who's the other guy? Just the Saints kid. Oh my God, I said his name. Jay Kaner. Chris Aluakun, Jay Kaner, Justin Fields. Jay, you tell me who's going to start. Yeah, I think it'd be Justin Fields again if Patrick Mahomes is ready. So again, we'll see what happens here. Rest of the free agents, real quick, Lurch, and if you want to stop me at any point to talk about one of them or a storyline or anything. Defense, Joseph Asai, pass rusher from the Bengals. Not a big name to a lot of people.
What a good addition.
But they paid him $36 million. He's very nice. Again, Kingsley Enagbare. He is a guy from the Packers. So Joe Bartle, our good mutual buddy, texted me.
Sounds like a fascinating guy. Joe knows a lot about Packers players, so that was an interesting take from Joe. Enagbare, he described Enagbare as a great edge run stopper. So
100%. Which, by the way, for the Jets, we needed one of those. Really God bless.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's wonderful. So I got Kingsley Enagbare again. Sometimes, Lurch, we do these shows, right? And if you get anything wrong, we never bring it up again. But if you get something right, pat me on the back, bye-bye. So we do these. I do a show every day, of course, talking about the Jets. But we did some free agency predictions. And one I wanted to see happen was Demario Davis returning to the Jets for a third stint.
That's a good one.
And I got a lot of hate. Like, come on, Paul, why would 37-year-old Demario Davis come back to this crappy Jets team? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe he just wants to come home one more time and just try to, like his lasting legacy can be trying to help to turn the Jets around. It was sort of my pitch. And apparently it's exactly what Demario Davis said when he did his press conference. So
he was reading your stuff and thought, this is not a bad idea. This Paul Esdin guy knows what he's talking about. I think I'll come on back.
And I'll tell you this, I know that I don't know if he ended up reading the story, but he interacted with it because, so free agency was this past week. A week before that, I put out this thing, coming home, I tagged him to, I was more Jets fan than reporter in that sense, going, Demario, come back home, baby. Come on. It's the perfect Hollywood script. We've written in the stars. I saw you liked it. But I didn't think anything of it. Like I thought he was just doing a nice little, way to go, little fella. And then just keep going. I didn't think it meant that he was going to do anything with the Jets. And he did it. And then he ended up being a Jet. So I love that. He's a leader. The Jets need leaders. And again, he just talks differently. There's certain athletes you get a chance to, whether it's a locker room or press conferences or anything. He was in New Orleans for the last 8 years. And he said that, why he left New Orleans is he said, my mission was complete. Like my calling from God, he's a very religious man. He said, my calling was to help turn the Saints franchise around, pass it from the Sean Payton, Drew Brees Hall of Famers to the next era. And we had some rough years, and to hold the ship steady. And he was using all these analogies. And he said, my mission is complete. I've given the Saints what they've needed, and now the Jets are my new mission, and they are calling me to come back and do this thing before I'm finished with my career. And it just was very powerful the way that he described it. So DeMario, I know it's getting a lot of eye rolls, 37-year-old, that kind of money, 2-year deal for $22 million, $15 million of that guaranteed. A lot of people were eye rolling at that, but I thought that was a perfect addition for the Jets at that point. And look at this, Lurch. Syracuse love. Andre Cisco came back. I did not see that coming.
No,
that was surprising. And here's the things. Sometimes free agents work or work out, of course, but sometimes they don't work out because of the player. Sometimes it doesn't work out for the team. Sometimes it's both. Last year, Andre Cisco came home. His family, as he told at his introductory press conference a year ago, used to be Jet season ticket holders. This was a cool coming home story for him. Yeah. And he started the first half of the season, tore his pec. He did not play well. The Jets as a defense didn't intercept any passes. And to me, it was sort of like, well, that's too bad that didn't work out. Andre's clearly going to go to a new team. The Jets clearly are going to go in another direction. And these two came back together. So that caught me off guard, but the Jets have made some safety. Dane Belton, your guy from the Giants, obviously. I love that. I love poaching from your Giants. Yeah, which, by the way, there was one the other way. I don't know do you remember Jason Pinnock at all? Does that ring any bells for you? Yeah.
Yes, of course. That's very important acquisition for us. We need another corner.
He plays safety.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's a safety.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. But no, the story that I bring up is, so the Jets drafted Jason Pinnock a couple years ago in the 5th round.
Yep.
He's on the team for the first year and it's fine. And then he's making it through the end of final roster cuts in year number 2. And Robert Saleh, the head coach at the time, says, we're going to attempt some roster gymnastics. Sometimes you can cut a player, pass them through waivers, get him back in the practice squad, and just sneak them through and do all kinds of BS. Yeah. Teams do that BS all the time. And Jason Pinnock, they cut. And so he's subject to waivers. The Giants claimed him off waivers. So as the Jets were trying to be cute and pass people through, they lost him to the Giants. So the Jets were like super annoyed by that. Like, God damn it, stupid Giants got our guy. And then, Saleh gets fired and he leaves. And Pinnock ends up, after going from the Giants to the San Francisco 49ers, reunites with Saleh again. And he's there last year. And he's a free agent this offseason. Goes to show you social media. Jason Pinnock, like a week ago, tweets out 2 plane emojis, but nothing else. That's all he says. He just tweets out 2 plane emojis, and it was late at night, and then he goes to bed. Jet fans see that, go, oh my God, Jason Pinnock's coming back. This is great. And they're lighting up his mentions. I see it. Jason, welcome back home, buddy. Yeah, woo. Jason wakes up the next morning and he tweets out, what the hell did I go to sleep to? He's like, I'm so sorry, Jet fans. This had nothing to do with the Jets. I was just... It was something else.
On a plane.
Yeah, right. And a Jet fan tweeted at him, all angry. What are you talking about, man? How dare you? On the second day of free agency, you tweet out plane emojis. What else are Jet fans supposed to think? And Jason's like, hey, buddy, it's not my fault. You misinterpreted it. To me, the plane emojis meant on the move. And then I just sort of went, I just noted that. Interesting. And then he signed with the Giants a couple days ago. And I'm like, oh, dear God. Not only did he accidentally flirt with the Jets, but then he goes to the Giants of all teams. So that was a funny, we get Dane Belton. You guys get Jason Pinnock on us. So that was a sort of fun back and forth, which was hilarious. So, yeah. So that happened of Belton. And so there's a lot of moves. But basically what the Jets are missing, I think, at this point, I'm seeing it a little bit in the chat, is wide receiver. The Jets did nothing at wide receiver. Apparently that was on purpose. They think this is the Jets building saying this. They thought wide receivers were going to get overpaid. They did in free agency. And the Jets didn't want to dip in those waters because they thought an overpay would happen. So they wanted to sort of wait out the waters and see, does someone slip through? Someone who thought they were going to make a lot of money. Then a week goes by, 2 weeks go by. Oh, wow. All of a sudden their market price comes down. The Jets can swoop in and attack. Sure. So maybe that's the case. I see Corey into house is bringing up Jawan Jennings. He's out there. A bunch of guys are out there. Debo Samuel's out there. Stephon Diggs is out there. Hollywood Brown is out there. The last time I checked. Hell, you guys, your Giants took off a veteran receiver, which maybe this is a good pass to go to you for Giants. Darnell Mooney, who's just a rock solid guy. You won't mistake him for an all-pro or superstar, but he's just a rock solid guy. And I know some Jet fans wanted him too, Lurch.
Absolutely. He's a good pickup. He's a solid guy. The Giants need depth in that room. They also got the kid from Pittsburgh too. What's his name again?
Oh,
It's
Calvin
escaping me.
Austin the third.
Calvin
Yeah.
Austin, who's kind of an athletic-y kind of guy. Again, hasn't really blossomed yet, but a capable guy is proven that he belongs in the pros. Now, where is he in the pecking order? Who knows? Is he still a wide receiver 4 or worse, or can he ascend to be a wide receiver 2 or even a wide receiver 3 or even a wide receiver 2 down the road? If you develop the guy, it's possible. But the Giants need to deepen that room. It also makes you wonder, again, this is what we're here really to talk about today, as you shape a roster through free agency, does it alleviate having to worry about those positions in the draft, particularly in the early rounds when you have your prime picks? And so by the Giants enhancing this receiver room, every time they add another piece of the puzzle to this receiving room, it makes me more and more certain that they're not going to take Carnell Tate, right? Carnell Tate, right, is the Ohio State receiver, right? I got that right?
Yeah, Ohio State. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I lost your volume there for a second.
Yep.
Your mic just went dead for a second to me. Yeah. So, I mean, so now are the Giants, if they pick at 5 and don't trade that pick, are they going to take Carnell Tate at 5? It doesn't feel like that to me based on what they've been doing with these other moves. Now, maybe they still take a receiver, but maybe it's going to come a little bit later in a draft that it seems that a lot of the talking heads think there's some depth to the receiving core in this particular draft and that you could get a guy in the middle of the draft that might be a very serviceable guy. So it's starting to feel more and more like that. And by the way, another cool thing that happened with the Giants is they just did a contract. What do they call it again? Rebuild. What do they call it again? When you rework the guy's contract. Restructure. Yeah. Okay. They just did a contract restructure with Brian Burns, and they just freed up $15 million in cap space. Okay. Giants just did this over the weekend. So now all of a sudden, whoa. Are they going to take a swing at a Jawan Jennings? Are they going to take a swing at one of these receivers? As you just mentioned, there's a handful out there, and just literally like lock down the receiver room for this year. We're good. We'll take a flyer on somebody late in the draft in a 6th round or something, but we don't have to use any primo picks. And maybe now they become, totally focused on defensive draft picks in this draft, which a lot of people felt like the Giants got to rebuild this defense. The Giants, over the years and years and years, their defense was always what buttered their bread. That was always the strength of the team, and it's just become a complete liability in recent years. And they've started to invest in the defense in recent years. Obviously, last year at the top of the draft with Abdul Carter. So they're trying to enhance this defense. Can they get this defense back to normal and then fix the offense through free agency? It feels like that's what they're doing, Paul. But this $15 million of cap space that they just freed up by restructuring Burns's deal, that clearly is an indication that something's happening here. Something is afoot in terms of whatever is spinning in John Harbaugh's head about who they're thinking about to fill up either part of that or all of that piece and bring that person in to enhance this roster. So Giants are doing some really, really interesting things. And I think their roster build so far through free agency and a couple of minor trades has been really shrewd. I just think they have not wasted any money. They haven't frivolously spent on anyone, but they've acquired some good players. Maybe no great ones, but they have acquired some good players. Players that can start, players that can fill a role, players that we're going to see on the field in 2026. So, I think what he's done so far is outstanding. So I think him and the GM, Joe Shane, not getting any credit for anything these days, poor Joe Shane, I think they've done a really, really good job. And now they just opened up another $15 million of spending money here. So what are they going to do with that $15 million? I guess we're going to see in the next week or two. But they might be doing exactly what you were saying the Jets are doing, which is not a bad play at this point in free agency, is sit back, relax, and let the salary start to drop. Because when guys are like, am I getting a chair? It's musical chairs. Am I getting a chair? Suddenly they're like, maybe I ought to talk to those guys and tell them I'm making my hometown deal, So all of a sudden you get a better deal just because of waiting. So sometimes that's
real quick on that, Lurch. In 5 weeks is the draft. That's cheap labor. If I'm a veteran, again, big name or not, maybe Stephon Diggs and Debo, some of those guys are unique. But, you look at yourself, you're a veteran, you're like, I better get under contract or I might not have a job. Maybe it goes by and your Giants, let's just say as a random example, they miss out on their intended target. Maybe they wanted a wide receiver and they don't get the wide receiver in the draft. Then they have no choice. They're like, I guess I'll go back to that veteran. But what if you're the veteran and then the Giants had a need And then you're like, no, I want this much money. And they're like, all right, well, we'll go through the draft. Giants feel their need in the draft. Boom. Giants are off the table. Now you're wide receiver like, crap. Now you got to wait for like an injury or something. So, oh, yeah, this is going to be an interesting chess match here between players, agents, teams for the next 5 weeks here.
Two giant goofballs coming in with this. It's not that they needed the money; they need 15 just to sign the rookie class. They can cut Gano. They can't cut Gano yet until he passes a physical. Gano's going to be jettisoned off. They just needed breathing room. Yes and no. I mean, again, I'll try to dig in and get into this cap stuff. I think a lot of times, interpreting the cap and everything that a team is doing can be tricky. So there may be some truth to that. I mean, I want to do some research before I start throwing out numbers on the cap because things are just constantly evolving and changing. But I'll take a look at that. Maybe I can come back on Wednesday's live show and give a little bit more of an up-to-date, breakdown on what the Giants have. How much money do you essentially need if they have the picks? Right now, the Giants, they've acquired a few draft picks. They have 7 overall picks in the draft. 3 of them are in the 6th round. Okay. They have no 7th round pick. All right. And they have no 3rd round pick. So, I don't know what they're going to do with all of that, but through, these little minor deals that they've made and trades that they've made, they now have 3 in the 6th round and they have 7 overall. And they obviously have their 1st and 2nd round picks, which are, pretty good, in terms of where they'll fall in the draft, 5 and then the 5th pick in the 2nd round, whatever number that is. So the Giants still have those top picks. They don't have that 3rd rounder. That's kind of a glaring thing there. Can they do anything about that? And let's also not forget, although it doesn't feel like it's going to happen based on, I guess, throwing the idea out there to the other 31 teams in the league. But Kayvon Thibodeau is still on the Giants roster and does something bubble there. Is there something that happens there that, again, frees up more money for the Giants to spend? Because, again, if Thibodeau were traded, theoretically, over $14 million of cap space now appears for the Giants to be able to spend.
Do you want them to move him?
Only if they get fair compensation. I just am one of those things of like, this guy was drafted in the 1st round not that long ago, high in the 1st round. And to me, you start getting into these low picks in the draft. I'm just like, that's it. That's what we're going to get for Kayvon Thibodeau. I don't know. I get back to 3rd. Maybe at this point where this is right now, as this roster is being shaped, if you could get back your 3rd rounder, I might do that. But that's sad that I'm even saying that because we talked about this a month or 2 ago, and I said nothing less than a 2nd rounder. No way. I'm not giving that guy up for anything less than a 2nd rounder. You got to give me a 2nd rounder, or you got to give me a player or something. Then if you're going to give me a lower pick, then you got to give me a player that's going to play on my roster. Maybe I would do that. But I just hated the idea of the 4th round or a 5th round. I was like, what? This guy was picked in the 1st round. He's still incredibly young. He doesn't have any terrible injury history or anything. What's the problem? He could go somewhere and be great. And then you end up with a 4th or a 5th round pick for a guy that is great for someone else. No, thank you. I'll use him as my 3rd wheel here in New York, keep him as a depth piece so that if one of my edge guys gets hurt, I got a plug and play guy that doesn't really hurt me that much. It isn't a huge step back, and I still have a good defense. Versus you give him up, you lose your depth. You better get something back for that. So I don't know. That's kind of where I am with it.
Lurch, I know we only got a few minutes left in the show here before we sign off. What else do you want to get to? Because we've done a little March Madness, some Jets, some Giants. Where do you want to wrap this thing up?
I don't have anything else in mind. Why? What are you thinking?
I have no idea. I just want to make sure because because my sort of Jets, Justin Fields, Chiefs trade sort of hijacked the beginning of the show, so it sort of robbed whatever you had planned. You're a planned guy, you like with things of that nature.
I mean, again, just to finish up on the Giants, I'll give you a little bit more Giants love.
Please.
Right? Okay. I mean, here are the players that we got. Isaiah Likely, I think, could be a really nice player for the Giants.
Oh yeah.
We'll see. I think that guy has been under. I think he has, I don't want to say he's underperformed, but he has not been given, in my opinion, the necessary chances to be better. I know this is, a couple of years ago, we had this player. This guy has some Darren Waller in him. Is that a good comparison? Do you like that comparison at all, or am I off the reservation in comparing him to Waller?
Well, hopefully without the off the field issues.
Yes,
would
of course.
probably be the
I'm
best
just
part of
talking about
that.
production. Like, is he capable of, significant, pass catching production as a tight end? I kind of think he is. I think he's a high ceiling guy. I think he has a very high ceiling. And I don't think that he was ever utilized because of Andrews being there and Andrews being the focus and Andrews having this kind of special relationship with Lamar, that he never really got to blossom. And I think he could blossom with the Giants. I think he could end up being a really good pickup for them.
Yeah, I love that from two giant goofballs. He's Darren Waller without the wrapping and the willingness to block at it, which is funny. Yeah, there is a lot there. If you're a Giants fan, I think you should be titillated by Isaiah Likely. It is a high upside swing. But again, everything I'm about to say has this asterisk that's on there. And we don't know. Because we've seen small sample size, and because of Mark Andrews' presence in Baltimore, he hasn't been fully unlocked. He hasn't got a full workload as a superstar tight end. There's been times where Mark Andrews has been hurt, and we've seen it in flashes of what he brings to the table. But yes, Darren Waller upside, sure. He has that sort of athletic receiving prowess. He's got a unique body. That I think, and with Jackson Dart, I'm curious if that's a safety, a security blanket of sorts for Jackson Dart, because that's normally what a tight end should be.
I think he'll be a good red zone guy too. Like, I think he's a guy that you can throw the ball up to in the end zone, and he can make catches. Does he have a basketball background? I think he has a basketball.
I believe so. Yeah.
So, like, he's a leaper. He's kind of a throw the jump ball up, athletic kind of guy. Like, let's use that. Giants could use that badly. Hey, here's one for you. Hep throwing this in.
Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We jumped the shark.
Yeah. Whoops.
At the same time. Let me go back to
Breece
Hall for Thibodeau. Would you do that? Breece Hall straight up for Thibodeau.
I
don't do that if I'm a Giant guy. Okay, let me.
Yeah, if you'd give me Thibodeau in a draft choice, I would then consider doing that. Sure.
Oh, ouch! Wow.
Yeah.
What? Why is that? Let's see.
Well,
Thibodeau drafted higher than Breece. I know that, people don't want to count that stuff that happened all those
years. Of course not.
Not that long ago, okay? It's not that long ago. They're about the same age. They're probably around the same age, right? Because they were drafted.
Yeah, let me see. Breece Hall's 24, so let me see what Kayvon is. Kayvon Thibodeau, he's 25, so he's like a year older.
You're older, okay? So the same age, basically.
Yeah.
Why would the Jets give up Breece Hall at this point, though? Like, if Breece is not on your team, then you're drafting a running back, right? You could draft Love, and then it doesn't matter.
Sure,
that's your running back done. You've replaced Breece, and likely you've upgraded. So and you get the guy for a pittance compared to what you have to pay Breece.
Sure.
So that's what the Jets would probably do if they just.
And if you're the Giants, right, you want to put as many shiny toys around Jackson Dart as possible. Breece Hall, Malik Neighbors, Isaiah Likely.
Do the Jets want to take a running back number 2?
I would assume not.
I would assume not either. And I just, again, with a coach who butters his bread on the defensive side of things and can get the number 1 defensive player on his board, because we know every player except for one guy is going to be on the board, and he's not a defensive player. You get to pick the best defensive player coming out of college, and you're going to say no to that when you're desperate to rebuild your defense? Like, I don't see how you say no to that. So I think if you trade Hall, then you are pointing towards Love, and then you don't draft the best defensive player. Now, you might get a great player. I think Love's going to be fantastic. I think he's going to be great. So I don't want to tell anyone not to take, Jeremiah Love. But I don't know if the Jets should take him now. I just think the timing of this, where the Jets roster is, I would just stick with Breece Hall and draft a phenomenal defensive player. Or trade the pick, get multiple picks, and draft 2 phenomenal defensive players, and add another pick. And you can have 5 picks in the top 50. I mean, why not just get a few more, take a few more swings at the pinata, as they say, right?
Sure.
So I don't know. I would do that. On my side of things, would I do that? Do we want Breece Hall? We don't need Thibodeau, clearly.
Obviously.
We end up getting Breece Hall back. And then our running back situation, at least for the foreseeable future, is solved.
Right, because you would work out a long-term deal. If Breece gets tagged and traded anywhere, the new team is immediately extending him to whatever. So yes.
I think I would do that.
I'm sure you would.
I think I would do that. Sounds good, Hep. We're in. Giants are in. Jets are in. We've just checked the boxes. Consider it done.
Nice.
I'll get on the phone with Joe Shane as soon as the show's over. Boy Green will talk to Muji. We'll get this thing done. Oh, man.
Beautiful.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. Well, we didn't get to nearly as many things as I was hoping today. But we do have a hard out today. I've got something going on this afternoon, so we're not going to belabor the point. But maybe we can chat a little bit on Wednesday about finish up on the Giants and then also talk about what the Buffalo Bills have done. You know, they've been kind of flying under the radar, dare I say, a little bit. You know, nobody's been talking about the Bills, and they still have. Frankly, they still have a lot of roster shaping to do. I mean, they're a little bit. You know, they're in the slow mode a little bit. They have a ton. We were reading that list with Anthony Prohaska last week of all of the guys that were on the roster last year that still haven't been signed by anyone else and are available to anyone else. And that list for the Bills has got to be one of the longest in the NFL. It's like 17, 18, 19 guys. It's like nearly 20 guys. We were going through the list. I was like,
it's pretty crazy.
What's happening? Are any of these guys coming back, or is anybody else signing any of these guys? What's happening with all these guys? So they still have a lot of wide open things here to decide, including their own players who are now on the free agent market, but it doesn't seem like anybody else is really making a run at them. So that's fascinating that you've got players like that. Does that enable you to get guys back on the sheet? Maybe it does. Maybe it does. All right. Okay. Well, thank everybody again for joining us today. Do appreciate it as always. Again, if you're not already a subscriber, please click that subscribe button as we march towards 1,000 subscribers. YouTube.com/@MCShowDigital. You see it right there on your screen. Again, if you are a subscriber, we'd love for you to become a member to our channel and help support the channel. You can do that by clicking the join button once you are a subscriber. All right. Final thoughts if you have any, Boy Green. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just love that we can, plan an entire show, and then 30 seconds in, there's a breaking trade that immediately throws the ship off course, and then you have to try to address whatever that is to get the ship back on course. It's a wild times in these digital worlds, and I guess that can happen in radio too, and that has happened several times before. So again, it's a crazy universe, and I'm sure on the Boy Green channel here we'll have even more on this Justin Fields stuff. So incredible. Man.
Boss girl straightened me out here too before we go, Boy Green. Joe Shane, you mean get on the phone with Harbaugh? Shane gets him his coffee.
That's an excellent point.
He's still the GM. Didn't I hear him say that? I'm still the GM. I still
very emphatically.
As a matter of fact. Thing, man. Yeah,
he did.
You're right. You're right, boss girl. When you're right, you're right. I'll call Harbaugh. Who cares?
Great.
Oh boy. Hey, listen, I had reached out to a buddy of mine. He just responded. Better late than never.
I heard it. Yeah.
But yeah, you heard that ping, right? So I reached out to Mike Lissette, who is our Charlotte correspondent, all things down in the Charlotte area, whether it's the Panthers, whether it's the Hornets, or whether it's anything that's going down in Charlotte, right? He was just at the ACC tournament, which was in Charlotte.
All right, naturally. Right.
And so I had texted him before our live show this morning, before we started the show this morning, say, hey, you got a few minutes today. I'd love to talk a little NCAA tournament with you, because there are some fascinating Charlotte connected, North Carolina connected stories that I knew he'd be out and around. So he just texted me back. He says, oh, sorry, I didn't see this till now. Is there any other time we could do? So maybe we'll have Lissette on Wednesday. Maybe we'll squeeze him in. Mike Lissette, one of our longtime friends, and he works down in the Charlotte area now for television down there. He's been in TV over 20 years. He's a close friend of mine. He actually filled in for me years ago when I was out for about 6 weeks, and he did our show every day in my stead with Bud, and was phenomenal. So I am always indebted to him for many of the favors he's done for me. And so maybe he could come out. We could talk some fun dialogue regarding the NCAA tournament. He's been pretty plugged into college basketball this year, so I think he'd be better than us, I think, in even talking about college basketball, because he's actually been around it and reporting on it quite a bit, including, as I just said, recently at the ACC tournament. So maybe we'll have Lissette on Wednesday. I'll let you know, Boy Green. I know we have Matt, so we'll have to double book that if
sure.
Oh my God, we didn't even get off the air, and bang, there we go. Number one Austrian.
Okay, wait. Here it is. Let me.
Hell yeah.
And I get to pick the video. Let me pick a
Yes,
video.
you do.
All right, I'll pick a video for him. You got to get a video. 5 or more, you always get a video. I
That's
think
it.
3 or more, I'll give you a video. All right.
Okay.
Oh, what's that one that I had? This one was cute. I know I loaded it in myself. Heck, oh, here it is.
Okay.
This is from Ted Lasso. This one's for you, Austria.
Paddle, paddle, paddle. That's it.
By the way, Larch, here are the
That's Roy
5 new
Kent
members.
falling off that bike, by the way. That's Roy Kent who was trying to drive
Yeah,
that bike.
which I love Ted Lasso, by the way. A new season's coming, so that's great. I can't wait to see it. The 5 new MC Show digital members are Devin Chafin, Troy Sturgis, K Brock, Stack 87, and Vegas Nick. I see a bunch of Jet fans in there. Let's go.
Troy's in. Way to go. Cool
Yeah.
Jet fans. All right, Jet
Yeah,
fans. We're always hooking you
100%.
Jet fans up, so you can always chime in. Austrian, thank you as always, man. Super generous that you are, man. Appreciate you. Much love going out to you across the pond there. All right. That's a wrap for today's show. We will be back again on Wednesday live. We've got some great content coming this week. Brent Axe, local reporter from Syracuse.com, is going to join us unless something changes, likely tomorrow. So we should have that content out to you by tomorrow morning. We've scheduled that interview, but tomorrow afternoon. We scheduled that interview for tomorrow morning. Brent will break down everything that's going on with the Syracuse basketball coach hiring situation and the new athletic director who's in the fold now for Syracuse. We got a new chancellor, new athletic director, and soon to come a new basketball coach. So we'll break down some of the candidates with Brent. We're going to do that tomorrow. Bud Polakun will be back as usual in his usual spot. And then we've got, of course, all our insiders coming, Jets, Giants, and Bills later this week. You want to tune in for all that. And Neil Adler, our SU basketball insider, at the end of the week as well, as we'll already be in the tournament by the time we talk to Neil. That's going to be a blast to talk NCAA tournament with Neil on Friday. So that's all coming your way. Appreciate all of you for tuning in today live. Don't forget to put on the alerts, subscribe to the channel first, and then put on the notifications so that indeed you know when we're putting out content. We're pounding out shorts this week as well. There should be a lot of shorts coming your way. So a lot of fun content. So make sure you click that notification just so you know when we're putting stuff out. We will see you again soon live on Wednesday. Take care, everybody. Peace out.